Hi guys, welcome to another day. I am off to Cambridge, Wellingborough, and it's a Saturday. Back on the usual run. It's a sunny Saturday and I'm off to Cambridge, Wellingborough. I know about obviously yesterday not having the upload, but I just didn't have any time. I even got in slightly late today, so happens like that sometimes. One thing you've always got to bear in mind if you're regional. If you live on the road, you're not really going to get in late because, well, you're kind of there. You know what I mean? So, yeah, always bear in mind the simple fact that if you're regional, you can end up running late. So, just thought I'd share that with you. But anyway, seeing as I am off to Cambridge, Wellingborough, I thought I'd have a bit of fun. You know the way I usually go in? Well, I'm going to double check something because I know they've been doing a lot of roadworks around there and I don't want to end up going that way and finding a road closure because it's not nice. It's not a nice position to be in. So I'm just going to double check something. But if it is open, which I think it will be, I've got to go trundle, trundle, trundle. I'm just trying to figure out, aha, follow the route, being a moron. I'm always being a mong. Aha, there we go, straight through there. Straight along there, straight up there, High Street. Oh, it looks open. It doth look open. It does, yes, it looks like it's open. So what I might do, for a bit of a giggle, because it really is, I'm sorry, I know it's going to get annoying, I'm sorry, but it's really amusing me doing all this F1 stuff. I don't know why, it's just really tickled me. It's such a schoolboy thing. But what I might do is get up to the point that you know, that you love, that you always see, and then we'll F1 it. We'll just go all the way through F1 styling. Now, if you're curious as to what I'm doing when I'm doing that, obviously I'm just keeping the sound as per normal, engine sound in the background, and then I'm just speeding up. I'm going up to 500% of standard speed. This time, I might add in a little bit extra and really increase the speed, like 750 times. And then see what that sounds like. But I think it'd be really amusing. And I know it's made a few of you laugh because you've been pointing it out. It's been making you laugh. So, that's what I'm going to do. We're going to do the usual bit into Cambridge, but F1 styling. So, enjoy. to Cambridge. I hope you enjoyed the Jensen Button Does Cambridge section. I'm having fun doing that. I know I should stop. I should find some other music and start doing that again, but oh well. I'm having a bit of fun. Anyway, it's 1500. Just got to wait for the guys to clear the warehouse. They're running a little bit behind. It's a Saturday, it does happen, never mind, boo-hoo. So I thought I'd come and say a little bit to camera, just whilst I'm waiting. It's going to be a while yet because the door's still shut. When I see that go up, then I know. But yeah, oh, it's all fun and games, it's all lovely jubbly. Nice and easy drive. I don't know, obviously you'll have seen it sped up, but I was overtaking a cyclist and a Merc, instead of pulling in, decided that I was on his side of the road and that he was going to, oh, you can't be there. Well, I saw how close he got down that side. I saw his brake lights come on when he realised, oh, he isn't going to move. No, because I'm not going to crush a cyclist over a Mercedes that could easily have just slowed down a little bit, waited, and then carried on. But yeah, that was enjoyable. It does happen. I mean, they see you doing that, they completely ignore the fact that you're trying to give a cyclist some room and that they are set back further enough for you to be able to get, you know, all they have to do is just back off the accelerator a little bit, and then they're like, I'm going to command the road. Okay, I'm not going to move. Good luck with that one. Yeah, that was fun. Oh dear, it's a lovely sunny day. Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. The guy who usually does the pool run, I nearly said the name of the store then, I had to go, ah! The guy who usually does the pool run is back. He's been away for a while, which is why I was doing the pool. Now I'm back on Cambridge, Wellingborough, so it's like, yay. Yay, back to normal. Normality has resumed. It's just, it's a nice run. I mean, yeah, the pool run is an amazing run. It's a fun run. But the issue with it is, one, it can be quite time consuming, which on a Saturday, you know, it's a half day on a Saturday for everybody except the poor twit that gets either the pool run or the Avonmouth run. Then it ends up being a full day. Nope. And it's alright because it's Saturday rate, I'm hourly paid. But you get into a routine. You know, it's like virtually every Saturday. Now, the people who've been watching me since the beginning, since the 4th of January, all those videos that were shaky and really badly edited, I hold my hand up, they were. I've taken them down. They don't exist anymore. They've been completely deleted. But you will know that virtually every Saturday, like a clockwork, I got Cambridge, Wellingborough, Cambridge, Wellingborough, Cambridge, Wellingborough. And of course I'm agency, so that when somebody goes on holiday, of course, I get called in, put on that one, somebody gets jiggered about, they get put on this one, and on they go. So I don't mind it, it gives me a change, but you get into a routine. It's like, I'll go in, do Cambridge, Wellingborough, I'll be back by such and such a time, maybe have dinner with the missus, everyone's happy. And then you're expecting to do it, and it's like, here you go, go off and do that. So now it's a frantic phone call to the missus going, don't worry about din-dins, but I've got the chicken out the freezer. Oh, well, never mind. And off you go. But such is life. It is the life of a truck driver. But no, it's nice to be back doing this. It's fun. But anyway, I suppose I should go and get myself a cup of coffee. Go use their toilet facilities. And then get unloaded. Now, I'm not going to do any more forward-facing footage because one segment of F1 style footage is good enough. You know, I find it funny, but I'm not going to make an entire vlog all about it. So I won't do any more forward-facing. I shall most likely see you when I get to Wellingborough, which is where I'll take my break. And yeah. Well, we made it all the way to Wellingborough. Now, the Tesla incident, the car, oops-a-daisy, basically it occurred on May the 7th, July the 2nd at the moment, and this came out a day ago, so something's been hidden away from public interest for a while. So, was driving Tesla Model S on Route 27. The car was using the autopilot system. Neither the autopilot nor the driver noticed the white side of a tractor trailer against a brightly lit sky, so the brake was not applied. The vehicle was on a divided highway when a tractor trailer drove across the highway perpendicular to the Model S. By the looks of it, it looks as if the truck was going left, turning left, I believe I've read from a different article. I'm just on one article at the moment. So, like I said with the last one, I haven't really read into this, so I'm reading into it now. The ride height of the trailer, combined with its positioning across the road, are extremely rare circumstances, and it caused the Model S to pass under the trailer, with the bottom of the trailer impacting the windshield, so basically just ripping the car in half, and I won't go into any more detail than that, but you can imagine what occurred. Now, there is a claim, it is a claim, that the person whose Tesla it was watching Harry Potter on a portable DVD player, and that's just a claim at the moment. The thing is, this particular person who died has actually posted videos to YouTube before about his Model S. And there was one instance where the autopilot saved the car, autonomously, from a side collision from a boom lift truck. Excuse me. He wasn't paying attention, yet again. And Tessie, that's how he named his car, was on duty, became aware of the danger when the immediately take over warning chime and the car swerved to the right to avoid the side collision. Okay. So here you have a person who, now, even Tesla say that there are fundamental flaws with the system at the moment, for the simple fact that you've got to be paying attention to driving. You've got to be able to take over at a moment's notice and watch everything going on around you. You are basically driving the car, but it's just a bit of fun at the moment. You know, you flick it and you just watch, and it gives you warnings and bits like that. And you can take over at any point in time, which is fine. But Tesla are advertising, and autonomous vehicles, you know, Google and that, are advertising that these cars will allow you to get in, carry on, put autopilot on, and you can do whatever you want. Send text messages, do business deals, you know, send emails, that kind of stuff. Okay? This particular person was supposedly, again, supposedly watching a DVD. And the last time it happened, I actually wasn't watching the direction. So, there's one occurrence where he nearly got killed because he wasn't paying attention, allowing the vehicle to do everything by itself, because he wholeheartedly believed in autonomous technology. And then another one where it stands to reason after the first incident he wasn't paying attention again, didn't notice an 18-wheeler crossing his path. Okay, fair enough. But they're claiming it's 130 million miles of autonomous driving with their customers. And it's a first fatality. Now, the average statistic in the US is 94 million miles per fatality without, you know, with normal driving. And the global average is 60 million per fatality. Now, when you start going on to the global average, it's not like that's the average in the UK. The global average takes into account fatalities from driving in countries where they don't have MOTs, they don't have inspections, they don't have a driving test, and countries that also drive with where the major religion is, if it's your time to die, it's your time to die. So you drive on whatever side the road doesn't have the accident. And when you take into account mass populations within India and China and their driving standards is going to cause issues. So in America, the crash happened in America. It was with an American sold vehicle versus American. Autonomous vehicles have supposedly managed 130 million miles to the first fatality. Perfectly fine. And the average is 94 million to a fatality. My issue is, you can see how many miles your vehicle's done through your service records, which is fine. You know, Tesla can tell you how many miles their vehicles have travelled through service records, which is fine. But how do they know that the vehicle was autonomous, autopilot, for that many miles? And how do they know that whilst on autopilot with a lot of the miles, the drivers weren't sitting there watching carefully and took over at the last minute to avoid an accident? But of course they don't YouTube. They don't put everything up. They don't write a report about it. It's just, oh, well, you know, we know the system's new. I just took over, never mind. You know, you forget about it, didn't you? You go on with your day. So I'm curious as to how many miles those vehicles have actually managed to do with people not paying any attention at all, versus how many miles, you know, how many accidents have been avoided by people jumping in to avoid the accident. Well, that's not been released. You don't know. How many miles have people done in autopilot where they have just been whilst driving along? You know, you don't know. Yes, recorded, okay, through servicing, maybe it does record autopilot mode was engaged for this long and they've added them all up and it's roughly 130 million miles. Fine. But how many of those were disengaged by the driver taking over because something went wrong? Versus, in America, and it's got to be in America because it happened in America, 94 million miles per fatality normal driving. Well, at the moment they've had one. I'm curious to see when the next one's going to occur and how many more miles they will have done. And the other thing to also factor into this is Teslas are new vehicles. So everything's fine. The brakes are fine, the tyres are good. They're wealthy, they're expensive cars that the wealthy own. So they are maintained to a very high standard. Whereas, including everybody else, you've got to include all the vehicles that aren't maintained, that are DIY kept on the road. You've got to include all of those as well. So now what's the balance going to do? So how many millions of miles do new cars in the States drive, you know, the first 3 or 4 years old, expensive cars, manage to cover before a fatal accident? Versus the same kind of age and expense cars, Tesla. How many miles there? If you're going to start doing comparisons, you've got to compare like for like. Wealthy people, people who can afford the Teslas, their expensive cars, will have high maintenance. You know, they will keep their cars well maintained. So, okay, let's have a look transversely at, say, the equivalent Maybach, for example, or, well, okay, Maybach's a bit too expensive, but top-end Mercedes, Aston Martins, things like that. And then see how many miles these guys do versus these guys before a fatal accident. Because then they're both maintained to the same standard. And you get rid of all the, well, the dodgy cars anyway. The brakes didn't work, the brakes went out. UJ went on the steering rack, things like that. So I'm interested to see what happens. I mean, Tesla, to be fair, Tesla's autopilot system hasn't been around long enough yet to really make a decent claim compared to all the other vehicles. It really hasn't. By the time the Tesla's autopilot function vehicles are available to everybody because they're worth a couple of $1,000s instead of tens of thousands, and you know, that, all that kind of stuff, then we'll see, as they get older, then we'll start to see the failures in the software, the failures in the system, and then you'll start getting an accurate idea of what's going on. But I do think it's funny because the first thing they've done is come out and gone, oh, well, you know, in the States it's 94 million and globally it's 60 million, ooh, and all that kind of... I'd like to know what it is in Switzerland. I'd really like to know what it is in Switzerland. If you go so much as half a mile an hour over the speed limit, you're done. But this is the thing. When you're talking about the autonomous vehicles, they're expensive vehicles. And when you're comparing the crash rate to expensive vehicles, well maintained, so on and so forth, against vehicles that are 20 years old, owned by somebody on welfare, last time it had new tyres was God knows how long ago, and it's balder than I'm going. You know, it's that kind of, well, hold on a minute. So I am going to be curious. I watch with bated breath, because although I do seem to have things against autonomous vehicles, I don't really have things against autonomous vehicles. I have things against people believing what they're told by the companies that stand to gain from those vehicles. That's what I have an issue with. I can see the benefits, as I've mentioned before, in autonomous vehicles for people like my father, who may be losing his driving licence. Well, if he can have an autonomous pod, he can maintain independence. You know, and people who wouldn't otherwise have their independence without relying on somebody else could have an autonomous pod to take them around. So I completely see the benefits of them. I just have a major issue with people like the late Mr. Brown believing the hype so early on. Yeah. Oh, flick autopilot on. I'll be perfectly safe. Watch that. I've avoided one accident already. Yes. Think about it. But just believe the hype, and then off you go. See you later. This is the issue I have. Remember, you're hearing all the hype from Google and from Tesla and from all the programmers. All this hype about this and that and everything else. But they're the ones with vested interests. They're the ones who are going to make billions off of this technology. Of course they're going to sell it to you like it's the best thing since sliced bread. And of course, when the initial accidents do occur this early on, and to be fair, it is quite early on in their age, given there's not that many of them in the marketplace versus all the other cars as well. It's a case of they're young. They're owned by people who have money to well maintain them, to keep them at their optimum operating level. And the other thing with Tesla is they've got an exceptionally bad reliability record, from what I've been reading. Now, I don't know the exact percentages, but it is quite a high percentage of vehicles go wrong within their warranted period. So you already know they've got bad reliability, and you're relying on their autonomous pilot mode. 1 + 1 is 2. Bad reliability, but you'll rely on the autonomous mode. But anyway, like I said, I hope that the autonomous vehicle does work well, and it does grow, because it will help a lot of people. The issue is, things like this, there's now going to be investigations. It's now going to shatter confidences. You know, before this fatal accident was made public, now remember, it happened on the 7th of May, and we're only just finding out about it now. What else are they keeping out of the media? But not only has it shattered confidence, because before, everyone was like, oh yes, I believe it, it's perfectly fine, blah blah blah, and now someone's died. Oh, you can die in an autonomous vehicle. Oh, we didn't see that coming. Oh, now what do we do? You see what I mean? It shattered the confidences. So I'm interested to see how it evolves now, how it continues, how it manifests itself. Because you're going to have governments looking at this and thinking, well, you're going to have to pay attention with your autonomous vehicles. Well, what's the major selling point of an autonomous vehicle? You get in, flick it on whatever mode you've got to, especially in America where you are crossing state lines. You're going for hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of miles on a route 27 or whatever. You're crossing all the state lines. You can flick it on autonomous mode and you can do your emails and you can watch DVDs and you can be chatting to your mate on the phone and having a little business meeting with your people in the car. And da, 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 da. Now they're going to start thinking about banning it and saying, well, hold on a minute. You can't use the electronic devices in a normal car. You can't use them in this because you still need to be paying attention. So the entire advertising of the car has now gone out the window because it's advertised that you can do your business meetings whilst driving along. You know, it's taken care of itself. You can do whatever you want. No, you can't. It's advertised as it will remove human error. Well, the vehicle's sensors didn't pick up an 18-wheeler against a bright background. Hold on a minute, it's a sensor. That's a solid object. What is it, a bloody light sensor? What, no one saw that coming? You know, so the sensors aren't working. Well, that's human programming error. Well, that's a human error, isn't it? And of course, the driver at the time, maybe watching a DVD of something, human error. Took his concentration off the road. So it hasn't cured human error. Oh, it will take rid of human error, no fatal accidents. Well, he died. Argue with that. So all of their advertising is now up in smoke. And I'm very curious as to see how things expand now there's been the fatality. Very curious about it. I'm not joyful or gleeful because I've said there's massive warnings with it. People will end up dying. I'm not gleeful about it because somebody's died, and that's tragic. I'm curious as to how they're going to get round this issue. Oh yes, well this has avoided that accident, and that avoided this accident, and this avoided that accident. But it didn't avoid an 18-wheeler semi-truck doing that. That's kind of a big thing to miss. So we shall see what occurs. But at the end of the day, you know what I've said about autonomous vehicles. It was blatantly obvious I was going to do something on this one. I mean, I don't think anybody is surprised by this now that it's in the news. But I look at autonomous vehicles with bated breath because there's going to be certain things with it. First of all, you're going to have to pay attention to what the vehicle's doing so you can take over. And that's going to stay there for as long. At the moment, autopilot mode is it's an optional extra. It's a bit of a gimmick. It's a bit of a gadget. Oh, look at this. I can flick that button and look at this. La, 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 la. It's a bit of that. So for now, obviously, you're going to have to pay attention and they're going to start banning you from doing certain things whilst in autonomous mode or autopilot mode, which is fine. But the other thing they're going to look at is, well, that vehicle couldn't sense an 18-wheeler. They're big vehicles and it couldn't see it. Right, so our autonomous vehicle is going to need to communicate with each other. Well, most of the design team have already said yes, they will. Well, is it going to be able to communicate with somebody driving their own vehicle? Well, no, because that vehicle doesn't have, it's not autonomous. It doesn't have the communication technology. Well, if you want to, unravel this, put it all over the place, you're going to have to get rid of people driving their own cars. So I'm curious as to how everything's going to start going in that direction. Now, please don't think that I am calling Elon Musk a bad man. He's not. He's got a very good idea. Hopefully it will help with safety, it will promote electronic vehicles, it will decrease emissions and so on and so forth. He's got a very good idea, it's a very good plan, and it is the way technology is going. But now that this fatal has finally happened, and in reality it's probably not as after as many million miles as they want you to think. Not when you compare what you are comparing it to. You got, if you're going to start doing that kind of comparison, you have to do a like for like, value for value, age for age. How many miles did that achieve? How many miles did that achieve? Now let's see. You can't really compare a $100,000 vehicle to a $500 vehicle with no brakes on it. You know, that's down to owner stupidity, that one. But I'm curious as to see how it develops. But anyway, there we go. Now, I've prattled on far too long, as I do tend to. I shall end my day now, because that way I can get home and go, it's half day closing, everyone's gone home, it's just the security guards, sod it. So, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, share about, do whatever it is you usually do. I am working tomorrow at 1300, so you'll see me again tomorrow. Suppose I should end my break and crack on. Cheers guys, see you later.